No one wants to come here. India, a place people call filthy, chaotic, full of taboos and outdated beliefs. They say it's too crowded, too polluted, too impossible to understand. And after the plane crash that killed nearly 300 people just days ago, I truly believe India should never be a destination. But if you're brave enough to go, you better watch this first. Break these 15 taboos, and you might regret ever landing here. 1. Public affection. Why it's not allowed. You'll very rarely see couples kissing or hugging in public here. Why is that? Public displays of affection like kissing and hugging are viewed as highly inappropriate, especially in rural areas. This cultural norm stems from traditional values that emphasize modesty and respect for social boundaries. In many parts of India, holding hands or even sitting close to a partner in public can attract disapproving stares or worse, legal consequences. Some states have laws that prohibit public acts of affection, and violators can face fines or even arrest. While young people in urban areas may push the boundaries of public affection, rural communities often see these acts as disrespectful or immoral. However, the Kiss of Love protest, which emerged in 2015, sought to challenge these conservative views. Protesters, mostly young people, gathered to kiss in public spaces to advocate for the right to express love openly without fear of societal or legal repercussions. This protest sparked widespread debates about cultural values, freedom of expression, and the evolving nature of relationships in India. What about in your country? Is public affection like kissing and hugging allowed, or is it prohibited? Two, mannequins in bikinis are banned. Did you know that mannequins displaying lingerie or bikinis are banned in some places? This ban was introduced as a way to protect public morals and reduce sexual violence. The government justifies this action by claiming that such displays encourage objectification and can lead to inappropriate behavior. They argue that by restricting these mannequins, they are promoting modesty and moral integrity in public spaces. However, critics of the ban argue that it doesn't address the root causes of sexual violence. They believe that the problem lies deeper in societal attitudes and not in the display of clothing. If stores are affected by this ban, they adapt by finding alternative ways to display their products. Instead of using mannequins in lingerie, many stores turn to posters or images, showcasing their items in a less direct, more subtle manner. They may also rely on display racks or glass cabinets, moving away from mannequins altogether. In a country where over 30,000 rape cases are reported annually, equivalent to nearly 90 cases per day, according to the National Crime Records Bureau, taboos like these are, in my opinion, essential to address in order to promote safer and more respectful societal norms. 3. The left-handed sin, why it's forbidden. In India, the left hand is considered impure, and using it for certain tasks could be seen as a serious cultural misstep. Why? The left hand is traditionally reserved for less pleasant duties, like personal hygiene after using the restroom, making it closely associated with what is considered unclean. On the other hand, the right hand is held in high regard. It's the hand of respect and purity. It's used for eating, shaking hands, offering food, and even giving gifts. Imagine this. You're invited to a meal with locals, and you instinctively reach for your food with your left hand. The moment could feel awkward, as others may interpret it as disrespectful. This isn't just about habits, it's deeply ingrained in the culture. The right hand is seen as dignified, the one that symbolizes cleanliness and honor. So, what should you do if you're a foreigner visiting India? The simple rule is to always use your right hand for eating, passing objects, or greeting others. By doing so, you'll show respect for their traditions, avoiding any uncomfortable moments, and fitting in with their cultural expectations. The consequences of not following this simple gesture? You might unintentionally offend someone, and that's a situation you'd rather avoid. 4. Asking about income, a social note. In Indian culture, discussing personal income is a serious taboo. Asking about someone's salary or how much they earn is considered intrusive and rude. Financial privacy is deeply ingrained in the country's traditional values, where money matters are kept discreet to maintain respect and dignity. Bringing up someone's income, even casually, can make others feel uncomfortable and may be seen as prying into personal affairs. One of the main reasons behind this cultural norm is the vast income disparity in India. The gap between the rich and the poor is significant, and people are often reluctant to discuss their earnings due to the societal judgment that comes with it. In many cases, even within the same company, two people in the same position may have salary differences of up to $500, depending on their Hindu caste or personal relationships. This further intensifies the discomfort around discussing income, as it highlights the deep-rooted social hierarchy and the inequality that exists. People avoid talking about their wealth or jobs openly, as doing so could be perceived as boastful or competitive. This cultural norm ensures that no one feels inferior or superior based on their economic status, fostering a sense of humility and unity. Remember this when working with Indians. If you bring up topics like income or wealth, you'll notice a shift in their behavior the very next day. Your relationship might even crumble as a result. Instead, focus on talking about family, experiences, or travel. By respecting this cultural boundary, you'll avoid discomfort and create stronger, more genuine connections. 5. Breaking caste norms, a dangerous act. Not following caste norms in India can lead to serious social consequences, even in modern times. Despite efforts to eradicate it, the caste system remains deeply ingrained in the fabric of society. Breaching caste norms can spark outrage and lead to public humiliation, particularly in rural areas or among older generations who strictly adhere to these traditions. For example, intercaste marriages continue to be challenging in some parts of India, where traditional caste norms are still influential. On May 2025, a tragic incident in Uttar Pradesh saw a woman from the Yadav community marry an inspector from the Patel community. Despite family support, the village panchayat imposed a social boycott on the woman's family, including heavy fines. This led to economic hardship, and authorities initially failed to act until the family appealed to senior officials. In some regions, certain castes are not allowed to perform specific duties or own particular types of property, and violating these rules can cause widespread social and economic repercussions. For instance, people from the Dalit caste, once known as untouchables, often faced discrimination and exclusion in public spaces or from certain job sectors, despite legal protections. Though there has been significant progress in challenging the caste system, caste-based discrimination is still an unfortunate reality, with approximately 25% of India's population being affected by some form of caste bias. These entrenched norms continue to shape everything from employment to marriage, and understanding them is crucial for anyone living or visiting India. 6. Referring to someone's caste. Avoid this. Referring to someone's caste is considered a sensitive and controversial topic in many parts of India. While caste is an integral part of the country's social structure, discussing or bringing up someone's caste in everyday conversation is seen as inappropriate and disrespectful. Even though the caste system has been officially abolished, its effects are still deeply ingrained in society, and caste-based discrimination persists in various forms. In 2019, a prominent politician in Maharashtra faced backlash for making a public comment about a political opponent's caste. The remark sparked heated debates and protests, with many demanding accountability for perpetuating caste-based divisions. This event highlighted the tensions that caste still creates in public discourse and the political landscape. In India, especially among strangers or in professional environments, it is best to avoid asking about or mentioning someone's caste. Doing so can make people uncomfortable and can even lead to social exclusion. In fact, many modern efforts aim to reduce caste-based categorization and encourage a more inclusive society. It's important to respect people's privacy and focus on individual merits rather than societal labels. Avoiding caste discussions is a way to promote unity and social harmony. 7. Beef ban, where cows are friends. In India, the beef ban has become a highly controversial and divisive issue, particularly in states like Maharashtra, where the government has imposed strict restrictions on the slaughter and sale of cows and beef. The ban is deeply rooted in religious and cultural significance, as Hinduism, the dominant religion in India, considers cows sacred. For Hindus, consuming beef is seen as a violation of religious beliefs and moral values. In Maharashtra, the beef ban, which was enforced in 2015, prohibits the slaughter of cows and the sale of beef, carrying legal consequences for violators, including imprisonment and fines. The law has sparked widespread protests, particularly from Muslim and Dalit communities, who have historically consumed beef as part of their dietary traditions. These protests have ignited intense debates about religious freedom, cultural rights, and the impact of such bans on marginalized communities. Today, cows are often seen everywhere on the streets in India, peacefully wandering around markets, roads, and even residential areas. People feed them, care for them, and show great affection. In fact, it is rare to see anyone harm a cow, as it would be considered not only illegal, but also culturally disrespectful. It is not unusual to see locals set aside food for them, and many Indian families take pride in feeding them as part of their daily lives. The sight of cows roaming freely is commonplace, and the respect for these animals remains deeply ingrained in the cultural fabric of India. What do you think about this taboo? Share your thoughts below. 8. No dancers at bars. Dance bars are banned in certain regions due to the government's efforts to curb prostitution and maintain public order. While dance bars may seem like an innocent form of entertainment in many cultures, in some parts of India they are seen as contributing to moral decay and the exploitation of women. The government justifies this ban by arguing that such venues often provide an environment that encourages illegal activities such as prostitution and can lead to the exploitation and trafficking of women. In 2016, for example, the Maharashtra government imposed a complete ban on dance bars, following a controversial Supreme Court ruling that prohibited women from dancing in these bars. While the ruling aimed to address public safety concerns, it sparked widespread protests from bar owners and dancers who argued that the ban would result in the loss of legitimate employment. Violating the ban comes with severe legal penalties, including hefty fines and imprisonment for those involved in operating or performing in dance bars. In some cases, these penalties can be as high as 100,000 Indian rupees, around $1,300, and imprisonment for up to 5 years. The issue remains divisive, with some advocating for the revival of dance bars as legitimate venues of entertainment, while others argue that their existence perpetuates the objectification of women and illegal activities. 9. Alcohol in public. Keep it hidden. In India, alcohol advertising has been banned across most media platforms, including television, print, and online. This ban is deeply rooted in cultural and religious values, as Hinduism, Islam, and other faiths widely discourage the consumption of alcohol, viewing it as harmful to both individuals and society. Alcohol is associated with social problems, such as addiction, violence, and health issues, leading the government to enforce strict regulations to curb its usage. However, liquor brands have found ways to circumvent the ban by using surrogate advertising, promoting products like soda, juices, or mineral water with similar branding to their alcoholic products. This allows brands to maintain visibility while still adhering to the advertising laws. At the same time, alcohol consumption in public is heavily restricted, and public drinking is illegal. People may enjoy a cold beer or a glass of whiskey, but they are required to do so privately, either at home, in restaurants, or bars. Public consumption is strictly forbidden, and violators can face legal consequences. This cultural norm, stemming from religious and moral values, views alcohol consumption as something private or even shameful. As a result, drinking is a discrete activity. Beer and spirits can also be expensive in India, with a bottle of beer costing between 150 to 300 Indian rupees, about $2 to $4 in bars and restaurants, which is relatively high compared to average income levels. Despite the high cost and legal restrictions, people still find ways to enjoy their drink, often in private settings, balancing the tension between tradition and modernity. 10. Homosexuality, still a silent taboo. What happens when a society is forced to confront its deeply rooted beliefs about love and identity? In India, homosexuality and same-sex relationships are still a taboo, despite significant legal progress. For years, Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code criminalized same-sex relations, labeling them as immoral and illegal. Even after the landmark 2018 Supreme Court ruling decriminalizing homosexuality, the stigma surrounding LGBTQ+ rights remains pervasive. Same-sex marriage continues to be unrecognized, and many LGBTQ+ individuals still face discrimination and social exclusion. Traditional religious and cultural values heavily influence this resistance, with many viewing non-heterosexual relationships as unacceptable. Though legal victories, like the decriminalization of homosexuality, have been achieved, the process of social acceptance is slow. Discussions about sexual orientation and gender identity are often seen as inappropriate or taboo in public. Expressing LGBTQ+ relationships openly is still met with hostility or disapproval, making it difficult for individuals to be true to themselves. While progress has been made, the lingering taboo still hampers the full integration and acceptance of the LGBTQ+ community into Indian society. Curious about more surprising cultural taboos in India? Stay tuned, because the next ones might just challenge everything you thought you knew. 11. Don't addressing elders by first name. In many cultures, addressing elders by their first name without using any honorifics like Mr. or Ms. is considered disrespectful. In India, this practice is especially frowned upon. Elders are highly respected, and the way you address them reflects your respect for their age and experience. Using titles such as uncle or auntie is a common way to show deference and warmth, even if the person isn't directly related to you. This tradition is deeply rooted in the Indian value of respecting one's elders, which is a core part of the culture. Age is revered, and older generations are seen as holders of wisdom, knowledge, and experience. Therefore, addressing them properly is essential. For example, you would never address someone's father or mother by just their first name. Doing so would be seen as a breach of respect. In more formal settings, whether with strangers or those in higher positions, it's customary to address individuals with honorifics like sir or madam to show respect for their rank or status. Indians are highly respectful of authority and do not challenge those in higher positions. People are expected to follow orders and maintain a respectful distance from those in charge. Disrespecting a superior, whether it's an elder or a boss, is seen as unacceptable and can lead to severe social consequences. This adherence to hierarchy helps maintain order and ensures smooth interactions in both personal and professional settings. 12. Touching religious symbols, a taboo practice. Touching religious statues or altars is considered a serious offense, viewed as deeply disrespectful, especially in temples or sacred spaces. Religious traditions, primarily Hinduism, place immense importance on the sanctity of statues, altars, and religious symbols. These statues are not just decorative, they represent divine beings and are believed to embody the presence of gods and goddesses. Imagine stepping into a temple, a place filled with centuries of history, culture, and spirituality. The last thing you'd want to do is offend the people who revere these statues. Touching them, even accidentally, is seen as a violation of their sanctity. It's believed that doing so disturbs the divine energy that flows through these sacred objects. What happens if you do touch? You could not only offend local worshippers, but also unintentionally break the religious decorum upheld for generations. Respect for these idols goes beyond customs. It's about protecting the spiritual atmosphere they represent. For visitors, it's essential to understand this cultural practice. To avoid offending anyone, be sure to keep your distance from statues and altars, particularly in temples. Offering your respect through quiet observation is the most appropriate way to engage with these sacred spaces. 13. Religious respect. The high stakes of criticizing faith. Criticizing religion, gods, or sacred practices is deeply taboo, and it can trigger intense reactions, especially in religious communities. Religion is woven into the very fabric of daily life, with people following diverse faiths like Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, and others. For many, their beliefs are sacred and integral to their identity. Therefore, questioning or mocking deities or religious practices is not just frowned upon, it can be explosive. In 2016, an incident in Bangalore saw protests erupt when a social media post mocking Hindu gods went viral. The post, deemed offensive, led to massive street protests and calls for the arrest of the individual responsible. As tensions escalated, the authorities had to intervene to restore order. The situation sparked a nationwide debate on freedom of expression and the limits of criticism against sacred beliefs. This isn't an isolated case. Religious tensions have sparked violence before, like the 2002 Gujarat riots, which were partially fueled by perceived offenses to Hindu religious figures. The riots resulted in over 1,000 loss of life, many of which were connected to accusations of religious disrespect. These examples underscore the dangerous consequences of mocking sacred practices, where an individual's words can quickly escalate into violent conflict. In a society where religious respect is fundamental, any form of criticism is seen not just as an insult but as a threat to social harmony. Tread carefully when discussing faith. One wrong word can ignite a firestorm. 14. Crossing legs in front of elders, a serious offense. I believe this taboo exists in many countries, and that is the act of crossing your legs while sitting in the presence of elders or religious figures. This gesture can be interpreted as a sign of arrogance or disregard for the authority of those you're facing. It's deeply ingrained in the tradition of showing respect through body language, and sitting in a posture with your legs crossed, particularly when in the presence of elders or spiritual figures, might imply a lack of humility or disrespect. The proper way to sit in such settings is to keep your legs straight and your posture upright, signaling attentiveness and respect. For example, during religious ceremonies or when interacting with elders, it's common to sit with your feet flat on the ground, or sometimes in a more formal position like the lotus position, especially in temples or during rituals. In fact, crossing legs can be seen as a physical form of rebellion against the social order. So next time you're in India, remember to be mindful of how you sit. 15. Odd-Petaled flowers, a spiritual mistake. Just remember to count the petals before giving flowers in India, otherwise you might unintentionally upset the balance. In Indian traditions, the number of petals on a flower holds significant meaning, especially during religious rituals. Flowers with an even number of petals are considered auspicious and are commonly used in offerings to deities or during ceremonies. The even-numbered petals symbolize balance and harmony, aligning with the spiritual energy of the rituals. In contrast, flowers with an odd number of petals are avoided in religious contexts, as they are believed to disrupt the spiritual harmony or invite bad luck. When offering flowers to gods or during festive occasions like Diwali or Holi, it's common practice to choose blooms like lotus or marigolds, which traditionally have an even number of petals. Offering flowers with an odd number of petals, such as certain wildflowers, can be seen as disrespectful or inauspicious. This belief comes from the idea that the universe itself is in balance, and anything that disturbs that balance, such as an odd number of petals, could upset the spiritual energies involved. This is why flower offerings, especially in temples or during ceremonies, are carefully curated to meet these symbolic expectations. So there you have it, 15 unbelievable taboos in India that you may not have known about. We hope this gives you a better understanding of the cultural norms and helps you navigate your interactions more smoothly. Keeping these taboos in mind will not only help you avoid any awkward situations, but also show respect for the local culture. Thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate your time, and we look forward to bringing you more insightful content in the future. See you next time.